So, as we wake refreshed from our slumber, ready to tackle another day of adventures, it does appear that there are a few new items of interest in our hotel room. I mean, outside of the voices that seem to be echoing in the background, we now have some reading material. And the memo can be somewhat useful in that it will keep track of all the activities and give us a brief breakdown of each one of the characters we've run across in the hotel, though its purpose is more for a secondary reason that I will cover later. Still, it will fill in automatically so we don't have to come back here unless we really need some background information on the characters. And outside of a place to read, we also have a place to store our additional items. Yeah, as you can see over to the right, our character has a very limited inventory space, so if we need to, we can throw some of those extra items into the storage area. Also, I feel a bit remiss because we had this red handkerchief in our inventory all along and I just never decided to look at it. A bit mysterious that we don't really know what this is, we just were holding on to it whenever we got here. Still, we'll figure that out later. For now, it's time for judgment.
Judgment! Do you know my name? Judgment! What? You're... Now that I look at you more closely, I see you've got an awful lot on your mind. Whoever wants my help, just bring a symbol of your problem. I'll give you one of my special judgments. Judgment!
Now, while a judgment possibly could be useful, what really caught my attention there was that lost soul he was carrying around. And he seems to be tucked away in his room off to the corner there, though I don't really think we have a symbol of our problems just yet. So I guess for now, it's time to start gathering some information. First things first, we can peek in on our sleeping neighbor here. The information he initially gives us seems to involve some issue with Gregory. Seems that Gregory has misplaced a very important book. And Neko Zombie seems to think it's a pretty pointless affair for him to keep looking for it. Still, as it is being brought up, it could very well be the first thing we need to solve to get our judgment. And wouldn't you know it, right at the end of the hallway here, it's the perfect place to find a book. In fact, it already seems like somebody's in there looking for one right now. Now, you might think that James is hard at work trying to find that book for his grandpa, though in reality, he seems to share a similar sentiment to Neko Zombie, even though he takes it a little bit too far. I get the feeling, though, that Gregory's book is not in there. But now that we have reached the point in the game where we now have a health bar, means that Gregory's hotel is now going to be simply littered with pick-upable items that will heal up our mental gauge, such as this green herb. Now, as you recall from the previous update, the gauge will constantly be going down, so it'll be good to keep track of where these herbs are and healing items, but for now, yeah, let's get away from James, because, I don't know, maybe Gregory has some useful information. Amazingly enough, though, he seems not really too concerned about this missing book. He does warn us, though, against taking unnecessary notes about the other guests. It It is a little bit rude to stalk people, I suppose. For now, though, I'm going to try my best to get away from James. Now, outside of just being a very basic nuisance, the other additional issue that James has in interrupting our game is that if we try to peek on anybody or, do anything out of the ordinary, he will interrupt us and just really draw unnecessary attention to us. Good thing is that I have a little bit of an idea here how to lose him. Because I happen to know that he loves television. And standing by the lounge is a perfect way for you to draw his attention. Now, all that really is left in the realm of getting some information is talking to Catherine. Though, I don't really know if she's going to be angry with us. I mean, we did take that soul away from her last time, and what was that warning of a horror show? But since we've caught her at her meal, maybe she'll be in a little bit of a better mood.
Visit.
I suppose there's really no harm in giving it a try to see how she reacts to us.
For a blood test.
There we go. That is our first actual horror show in the game. Yeah, for each one of the occupants in the hotel that decides to be hostile to us, if they happen to catch us, they will drain a very large amount of our mental gauge and give us a little bit of a gruesome show that kind of mirrors just what their background is like. In addition to that, we found a Caesar salad. Don't think I want to be eating it. I think there is a good chance that it might damage us instead of healing up our mental gauge. And, well, we're kind of at a dead end here. We haven't really got any useful information. We don't know where Gregory's book is. What's worse is that Catherine is continually going to be on the warpath. This will be a threat for the rest of the game, I can assure you. Though our room will always be a safe sanctuary, I hope. So I'm very happy to say that Judgment Boy will never be aggressive towards us, which is good because his patrol pattern is pretty all-encompassing of the perimeters, so trying to avoid him would be pretty dire. Still, I mean, with how aggressive Catherine has been, makes me wonder if there might be something more in her room. Looks like we might have struck pay dirt. That looks like a very questionable piece of literature, Gregory. Yeah, there was a very good reason that Gregory wasn't very forthcoming with what type of book he was looking for, or in fact that he was looking for one at all, because he apparently had lost his pornographic magazine. As to why Catherine has it is an even larger question. Just one of many that her room presents, because it also seems she has quite a few pictures of what appears to be a figure with a very large knife. But now that we do have Gregory's book in hand, it's time we finally return that to him and put his mind at ease.
How nice to see you. And what can I do for you? Huh? Where did you find that book? You don't say. You found it in Catherine's room? This is quite serious. I'm afraid I'll have to confiscate it.
I guess we could guard the pornography. I'd feel pretty dirty doing that, so let's hand it over.
Would be wise not to make too much of a fuss. No, I think you should read something more tasteful. Not this piece of this book. If you're looking for such a book, I suggest you try the first floor library. I'm sure a little reading will make all of your worries melt away. Now then.
Well, that is some pretty helpful information, though. Yeah, kind of curious what Gregory is going to end up doing with that dirty magazine. Maybe he has it as a collection and he wants to go return this missing volume. I guess that would be a good place to store dirty magazines. Well, in the end, I guess I'm just happy that I was able to brighten up his day. For now, though, let's head back to the library and see about that self-help book. Now, while we could have technically gone in the library at any point beforehand, and there are plenty of books to pick up, the one book in here that we want specifically would only have appeared after Gregory recommended it to us. That isn't to say, though, that there aren't a number of very, very curious pieces of written works in the library here. And it is a tremendously good idea to make sure and collect as many books as possible, though the one we really want is right here. Still getting a little bit low on our mental gauge. You can honestly get so wrapped up in trying to solve other people's problems that you just completely forget that you're working on a very, very set amount of time. And while technically you can go and sleep anytime you want to, you'll only be able to sleep for a very set amount of time, and if you wake up in the middle of the night, there can be some negative repercussions. We'll cover that later, because for now we have collected everything we can in the library, and I think we might finally have the key item to get our judgment. Though, I have been kind of avoiding a very particular room that's right here at the corner next to the stairs because, well, I just really haven't had much of a use in it. And that's because it is our save point for the game.
Save this game? Or the game?
In the form of this adorable little frog fortune teller. Yeah, you don't get access to the save point until I think you have to deal with Catherine. Just this door will always be locked up until that point. But after that, you're more than welcome to save whenever you want to. Still, even though we have made a bit of a roundabout trip to get to our end goal of getting a judgment, I do feel pretty happy that we have been able to learn quite a bit about Gregory and some of the other tenants. And that doesn't mean our learning has to stop just yet either. As we catch Catherine here in the middle of what appears to be a pretty dramatic moment as she stuffs her face with an infinite amount of donuts, we see that she might have some stronger feelings for our chef here. His indomitable spirit is indeed enduring, though in the end, he might just be something of a more hunky blood bank. But since she is in there, assuming James is up to no good in here. Though we managed to catch him just as he is about to leave, so to avoid that nuisance, it's time to finally get our judgment.
Judgment! You're carrying a self-help book, aren't you? Well then, it's time to judge which path your future will take. Bright young man who's accidentally wandered into a hotel from another dimension. Only one way to get back to the real world. You must collect lost souls. The hotel is full of danger. You can't run and you can't hide. So, what do you do?
Well, I always want to try to give 100,000,000,000%, so I will not give up.
Righty then, let's ask the scales of truth. Which will it be, money or love? Only the scales know for sure. Judgment! Here we go! No matter how tough things got, you never gave up. You followed the path you had created for yourself and found your way back to the real world. That's the truth, see ya? Truth. Bravely faced your fears and followed the correct path. I'll give you a fabulous prize.
We did it! I think. Yeah, overall, Judgment Boy, while pretty non-threatening, is also not what I would call the most helpful person in the world. His judgments just seem to be mere observations of our current state of affairs, and I don't know, maybe he was just here to motivate us. Either way, I think that was pretty successful all in all. Even though I don't think I'll ever be eating this Caesar salad, so let's pick up something more useful. And I think we should just head back to our room and call it a night. before I fully do that, since we do have some reading material, might as well go ahead and show that off really quick. Now, while each one of the books seems to have its own little genre and flair behind it, as far as I can tell, each one of them will always increase your mental gauge by a very set amount, albeit a very small one as far as I could tell. I think for tonight's reading, I want to go for something a little bit lighter, maybe a magazine about health. In the future, though, I will be cutting those out because there are about 50 of those magazines. And as the voices are getting louder, I think it's time we call it a night. See you next time.
Come on now! Give it up! Throw away all them worries. Oh, it's you! Did you manage to pick up any souls? Oh, you only brought me one, huh? I take it? Hey, thanks a lot. Here, I'll stamp your card for you. Well, would you look at that? While we've been here jabbering, a whole bunch of new guests moved in, and they got souls too. Good luck there, buddy!